Okay, so we're doing the Isha Upanishad or Ishavasya Upanishad. So now we have looked at the first mantra in the last class. So basically, just to recap, we started this Upanishad with that Shanti mantra, which we just recited just now, where it is said that that what I'm observing, what I'm experiencing, that is complete, and that which I don't see, which is beyond my perception, that also is complete. And from that completeness, that wholeness, that unconditioned condition, that pureness, this conditioned world, or this things which I'm perceiving, all that has come. So that also I'm able to, that also is complete. So that was the first mantra. And then we started the Isha Upanishad. And here in the Isha Upanishad, we have so far discussed the first mantra. So the Isha, we discussed about the nature of Isha. What is Isha? What was it mentioned? Isha was basically mentioned as, the word Isha was mentioned that one who lords over others, or one who is a supreme, who is a controller. But is he just the controller of the world, or is he something else? So he's also, it was mentioned, he's not just a controller of the world, but he's also the inner controller, meaning he is our very self itself. So this Isha, who is the controller, is also the very self of our being. So now we know this, that this Isha, which generally, when we think of this word Isha, we take of it as God, the one who is the Lord, whom we perceive, who is everywhere. So that is what we generally take with this word Isha. So for when we talk about Isha, like what is what do we relate to as Isha in our own life? Is that what I'm seeing, that what I'm experiencing? This world has come in my experience. So this world that I'm perceiving, so what we call as the God, So here, like, let's see what were the points, so some people can share. What are the points we discussed from last class about this? Ishavasyam, idam sarvam. What was the two ways of perceiving this? Anybody remembers? How do we interpret the mantra? Those who attended, what can we take as the?
That God is essence of everything.
Very good. Yeah, that is one thing. God is the essence of everything. Then what else?
Nothing but God is everything.
Yes. Mantra Brahmana. Yeah.
Yes.
What else? Yeah, Varun.
First is, I think it's like Lord is covering everything, because the Vasyam literally means like the covering. Another is more, this Lord is present in different names and forms, is the essence that is present in different names and forms.
Yeah, the essence that's present in names and forms. Okay, so these are the two ways. So this, I just want to make sure you all remember this. So there are basically two ways. One is what we call the world view, which is if somebody has come to some spiritual path, some religious path, then they actually, what is the way they're doing? They are made to see that there is God hidden in everything. In everything I see my perception, I'm seeing God, rather than seeing that world. So this is the first spiritual transformation that a person is made to go through. So instead of seeing the world, he's seeing God in everything. So the God was hidden before, and now he's able to see. So that element or the essence in everything is nothing but God. So this is the first thing. The second one is actually where we are saying that there is nothing but God only in everything. So what happened? What was the defect in a way? The first one is that when I say that God is hidden in everything, there is a reality to the world, and there is the God also is a reality, but that reality I'm not experiencing. So I'm trying to see the deeper reality in this superficial reality, but this world also has a certain reality there. So when we say that there is nothing but God alone who is in everything, so then what happens? That one reality is all that we are switching our attention to. So this part is what, where we have come at so far. And Ishavasyam idam sarvam. And then the next part also we discussed, but I'll go into this later. But there is one more explanation I want to give, which is like, many of us know that when we talk about God, we talk about two forms, Saguna and Nirguna, sometimes called as Savishesha, Nirvisesha, or Sopadika, Nirupadika. But the most popular one is the Saguna and Nirguna aspect of God. So in the Saguna aspect of God, what has happened is there is what is called as that Lord, and that there is Maya. So there is this force of Maya, which is the controlling force, which is that one which is the force of the Lord, which operates somewhat independently, but it is controlled by Lord. So if you take this word, there is Isha and then there is Maya. So that Isha is the controller, but that Maya is controlled based on our karma, our samskaras and all that. Our life is moving on in a certain way. So this is a Saguna form. So now, when we switch to this, the first what is happening is when we say that there is the world and then there is God hidden in this. So how can we relate to this Saguna God and Maya? Which part of it is covered? Is the when we say that the Ishavasya idam sarvam, which part gets covered?
Mula Prakriti.
Mula Prakriti. Okay, yeah, that's good. Then what else? So what is manifesting in the world? What do we see in the world? What are we experiencing? So this is, the understanding we have to come.
We're experiencing the manifestation of the Nirguna Brahman.
The manifestation. Okay. Yeah.
We are experiencing all the changes which is happening, the anitya.
Yeah, we are experiencing all the changes. So all that we are experiencing, the changes, and somebody said Prakriti and all that, right? So that itself is the Maya, that force of Maya. So sometimes you may see, this picture where we all remember of this Ardhanarishwara, that Shiva and that Shakti, depicted together. So there, what is happening? That the God and that Shakti together is manifesting in this world. Okay, but here what has happened is that what does that do is that which is, as somebody said, that which is Nirguna, that is pure, unconditioned beingness, consciousness, awareness, that gets mixed with this because of Maya, and we see this display. What does this display do? It gives this mainly what we call as three gunas. And of these three gunas, there comes myriads of thousands and billions of colors, forms, roops. I mean, all this different manifestations are coming. So this is what the Sagunas does. But what is the real nature of Saguna is that near nature of Saguna is that same Brahman, that same consciousness itself. When it gets mixed with Maya, it becomes Saguna. Otherwise, it remains that pure. So an example is like water. So when you drink water, there is no specific taste to that, right? So that beingness is like that. There is no specific taste to that. But then when it gets mixed with that Maya and it projects into this world, it becomes all these different forms. And we start like all that sweet taste, that salty taste and all that flavors, all the different flavors is added to that. So, and for most of us, what we like to, when we want to drink something, we want to drink something which has some taste, right? Unless we are really dehydrated, or if we feel we really have to drink. But most of us want to experience the saguna form of God. We are all so interested in experiencing some form or some kind of a attribute or some kind of a means of tangible means. So this is what is meant here, like the world is appearing in all these different ways, but there is in nothing but that God alone in all that. So what happens, a devotee is asked to purify his vision, and this is what is called as Srishti Drishti. Srishti means creation. Drishti is how we are perceiving. What is your perception of the world? How do you purify your perception of the world? So for a spiritual seeker, the first step in a more religion and spiritual ways, it is taught that you try to see that form of God that you love. There is meaning in everything. You superimpose your specific God or the specific form of God in everything that you are seeing. So then what happens? Everything, everywhere you're seeing, it is driven by that desire to see God in everything. So this is a devotee. This is what a devotee is doing, In the world also you will see this, right? Like if there is a businessman, wherever he goes, he's trying to look for business opportunities. It's a real committed businessman. So whomsoever he meets, he tries to see, okay, is there some business opportunity I can do with this person or that person? So similarly, a purer person who comes to spiritual life, especially as a devotee, he is asked to look in with this vision first. Now what happens once he has come to that, then the Guru and Shastras tell him something that this is like here in all that he's seeing, they try to point to him and say that there's really not all these different tastes. All these different tastes are manifestation of that one thing only. So what they do is the finger which was going outside to the world, the Guru and Shastras point it within for that person. So first what has happened is what we call the Tatpada Shodhana. Tatpada is that which is the reality, the higher reality, the God or the creation, that has been purified. And once that is purified, then the finger points within. In some cases, some people who are ready for the practice, they can also do the other way around. They can first point within and purify that inner vision. Like this is what the yogic path, all that offer. Then you first purify within and then you purify without. So both ways are okay. Whichever is based on proclivity, based on our personality, we can take the devotee track or the yogic track, or the Gnana. And ultimately, what happens is the first what we were saying is we were seeing God in all. Then we see the God in all and God in oneself. So that is the that is how this was yat kincha jagatyam jagat, as it was mentioned, that in everything that we see, that there is a substratum. That substratum is that God, and in that God all these forms are appearing. Okay, so that this is the two models, and both of this is what is happening is this is called the Srishti Drishti Vada. So now there was a third model also I offered. I mentioned that. So anyway, in this one, just to end that, what is happening is that when that Srishti Drishti, what I'm seeing gets purified through my vision of how I see, then in everything I'm able to see the divinity, or I'm able to see that self, that consciousness in all. So earlier I was seeing just a stone, now I see that stone made in the form of God, and that my whole perception towards that stone has changed, right? I adore that. So similarly, as is my understanding, so will be my perception of the world. So this is what the Srishti Drishti Vada is offering. This is one way. Then there is one more way, which is called Drishti Srishti Vada, the third model of thing. So what is that third model? Is that in this third model, all I'm seeing is nothing but there is only myself, then everything, the world is being projected. So this is the from a Vedantic point, that there is that only one consciousness, and from that one consciousness, the world gets projected. Anyway, that we will go through another time in deeper. Okay, so now let us put the mantras, and we will just look at these mantras and go through them again. So the first mantra, we have looked at it already, but we will just chant together the mantra, and then we will just look at some portion of the mantra which we didn't go through last time. The remaining portion. Okay, first mantra we can see. Okay, you can do the first and the second after this. So those of you who can, you can repeat after me this shloka. Okay. Ishavasyamidagum sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bunjitha magridakasya svidhanam. The next mantra we can try. So those who are not familiar, you can look at that English also. Kuruvanneveha karmani jijivishet shatagum samaha evam tvayi nanyate tosti na karma lipyate nare. So we can go back to the first mantra. So let us now look at the remaining part. The first line, it was mentioned, Ishavasyam idagum sarva yatkincha jagatyam jagat. All this, whatever is there in this earth, whatever moves, it is said, but you can also say is whatever exists, whatever is seen, whatever exists, all that is nothing but this covered by the Lord, or as I mentioned, is nothing but the Lord. So two ways of seeing that in all this world, that Lord is hidden, or there is nothing but the Lord, or Isha here. So as I mentioned again, this Upanishad is accepted both by dualists and non-dualists in one way. This is one of the few Upanishads that's accepted by many dualists and by many, and mostly also non-dualists. But Shankaracharya very clearly says that this is an Upanishad which is very clearly also talking about the highest non-dual reality. So, but of course it takes a little bit, it is not as straightforward as some other Upanishads. This Upanishads, it requires us to engage in actively and think about it. Okay, so this is the, this point was mentioned here. Now, tena tyaktena bunjita. So this, what is this point, tena tyaktena bunjita? This is where it says that those who are who have gained this knowledge, who have gained this ultimate vision. So what do? They have to protect this understanding. They have to protect their self. They do not literally protect, but they have to protect themselves from this ignorance. How? Through detachment, they say. Why detachment? Because the world that we perceive doesn't have that reality that we think it was there. Everything is but God. Then why should we focus on that non-self? That is the point here. So that is the next line where it is saying, Mahagrida kasya svidhanam. So don't covet the wealth, because whose wealth is this? Everything belongs to the Lord. So there are two ways of interpreting this. One is a dharma purushartha. Lead a righteous life. Don't seek things that doesn't belong to you. That kind of thing. But another way is a more direct way where it says there's nothing but the Lord. Everything belongs to Him, and we have kind of just taken it all on kind of a rent, So this is a deeper kind of understanding. So the idea here is that what is the detachment? The detachment, first level, is detachment to worldly objects. So here is where, generally when we understand from the point, this word sannyasa comes. Tyaga sannyasa. So of course here it is more in a mental sense, internal sannyasa. But what is it sannyasa? It is that three ashanas, we say, three three main desires that all of us are bound in, which keeps us limited in this world. The Eshanatraya. Anybody remembers what are the three Eshanas, the three desires? So there are three. Kartika, yeah. Yes.
Putreshana,
Good.
Lokeshana,
Yeah.
one more,
Vitteshana.
Vitteshana, yes.
Oh, very good. Yeah. So there is three desires that all of us, and these desires keep us on a material plane. What is this? One is very clearly desire for wealth, desire for possessions. It keeps us, our mind is already always identified. When we're consciously thinking of gaining money, holding on money, our mind gets so occupied with that worldly plane, So that is a desire, very clear desire that keeps us bound. Then there is putreshana. Putreshana literally means like desire for progeny, desire for our continued like children, family, that kind of an attachment which we develop, right? And what happens, like then whatever happens to them or whatever their needs are also become somewhat our pursuits, right? So they also keep us somewhat on a material plane. Of course, as a responsibility, we have to fulfill that. But here we are just trying to understand from the higher level, right? And then there is the lokeshana. Lokeshana is this desire to have our name etched forever in history, or more importantly, to become popular, to become very successful, well known. That is what happens. There is again an egoic identity there. So those desires, what happens is, as long as we have them, we do not know that deeper abiding self. Why? Because then we become body and mind identified. So these body and mind identifications keep us stuck, and they do not allow us to go to the deeper sense of awareness. Tena tyaktena bhunjita. So here also, if you look at the word bhunjita, two meanings. The literal meaning is enjoy. So how can you enjoy when you have renounced? They say that the one who has renounced is the only one who really enjoys. Otherwise, all our enjoyments are like roller coasters. We enjoy one day, and then other day we are like we fear the loss of it. So that and in the Gita also it is nirmana moha jitasanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama dvandvair muktai sukadukka sangai gachyanti muda padamavyayam sat. So that one who is detached, one who is free from this dvandvas. So what is the real detachment though? The real detachment is not just the detachment of worldly objects. The real detachment is that we are able to abide as that pure witnessing consciousness, where even that mind, the activities of the mind is happy, the mind is sad. See, this is where, Vedanta is not just concerned with keeping a quiet and calm mind. Vedanta is telling us that even that mind, whether it's calm or quiet, you have to learn to detach from that. So it is not necessary that only when I'm calm, I remain as a witness. Even when I'm agitated, I should be a witness to my mind. So that is the true tyaga. That is the true renunciation. That renunciation is renouncing that activities of the mind and abiding as a witness, that awareness, that beingness. So there is the tena tyaktena bhunjita. Then you are protected. Then you are really able to enjoy. So that is then what is it? That swidhanam. Swidhanam means do not seek wealth. So here, seek wealth meaning not just the wealth of others we should not seek, but our own wealth also. We should not be too attached to that. As long as we have the right conditions, the money is there for us. When it is not there also, we should not have that so much hankering, mental hankering for that. Of course, we need to do what we need to do to earn a living and all that, but from a higher sense, that constant hankering. What happens? So this is This is where the path of knowledge is telling us. So this mantra is giving us that highest pointer from the path of knowledge. Now, what happens if I'm not able to really take this? What happens? I still have desires. I still have attachment towards family. I still have attachments to be popular, to be successful. Or if I still have attachment to, like making a good amount of wealth so that I can live a happy life, after my retirement, everything is taken care. So then what happens? Then the second mantra comes. How do we move from the first stage of pure knowledge, which is called as our knowledge is not complete, aparipakva jnana. We just have theoretical knowledge, or we have just had glimpses of that reality. But it has not become that sanshaya viparyaya rahita jnana. It is not free from doubts. It is not free from oscillation. Like when I get a call from someone telling you need to pay up, all my worries come back. So then what happens? We need to look at the second mantra. What is the second mantra saying? It is kurvanneveha karmani. So then you have to act in this world. You have to engage in actions. By doing karma, what should you do? Jiji vishet shatagum samaha. Then you can wish to live for 100 years. You can live for as long as you wish you want to live. Like a jnani doesn't have a wish to live for so many years. See, you look at all the great souls, many great souls. They lived only few years. Shankaracharya, 32 years. So many of these people, they don't really wish, but sometimes they may live wrong, but they don't wish. But if you're doing actions, then you do righteous actions. Here, action doesn't mean just regular actions. The actions that is prescribed for you. There is right actions that is prescribed. So we are here going based on the Vedas. The Vedas prescribe a certain kinds of actions for everyone. Right actions. These right actions, if you do, then what happens? Na karma lipyate narehe. Those actions you do will not bind you. It will not bind you to take reincarnation. It will not bind you to go through certain experiences of the world. So those kind of actions which you are generally you have been so far doing, that actions you can now choose to do it in a purified vision. So now again, how does this action thing come? So this is where it is mentioned that there is that karmas are divided into different ways according to the Vedic things. In the Bhashya class, I told that. What is the classification of karmas? Different karmas. How are, according to the Vedas, how are karmas divided? Yes, Father Cashin, yes.
Nitya, which is daily duties. Nishiddha, which is prohibited actions. Kamya, for that which is done for reward or goals. Naimittika, which is for like major events or major life and seasonal happenings. And then prayashchitta, purification and repentance for when things don't go so well.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. So these are the different karmas. Okay, so these are the 5 different karmas that Vedas have found out. Now in this one, what are the karmas? What is the one karma? Like which can taint us? So we can just inquire a little bit. So of these 5 karmas, the daily duties are actions that the Veda tells us you have to do. Then there's occasional karmas which comes for based on certain things. Like someone in your family dies, you have to do shraddha for them. Or like there is a wedding. So then that is done in a certain way, right? So these are occasional things, and so these actions are prescribed actions. Now there is specifically one action here, and 2 actions actually, which can leave a taint. which is, what do we mean by taint is, from a yogic level, it leaves an impression in our mind. It leaves a seed. And this seed will cause you to think and act in a certain way in the future. And in a cosmic level, if you take it more from a karmic point, these are what keeps us bound and gives us the certain experiences we have in our life, starting with where we are born and certain environmental experiences. These are based on our karma. So there are two in this, which leave an imprint. Which are these two which could leave an imprint in this?
Nishidha, Kamya.
Nishidha and Kamya. So Kamya is that which is desire-bound actions. Desire meaning like those that which very clearly, they will very clearly leave an impression. See, when you do an action with a certain desire, they will leave you an impression. They will leave a mental impression. So this is where in a more spiritual path, the first thing they ask you to do is karma yoga, seva and all that. Why? Because there it is not your specific desires, or it is a holistic desire. I want to serve, or I want to do this for the well-being of others, for the society, people like that. So there is a selfless kind of actions. They don't leave any impression. Then the second one is Nishidha. This one the Vedas are very, very strong about. So although, nowadays none of us really go by the Vedic, actual Vedic lifestyle, it is not like we live by, even the many people who are engaged in spiritual things, we don't follow the Vedic things so strictly. But there are very specific things which was why we don't follow is because, see, that lot of things that was given for those times, sometimes people say they are not relevant. But what is meant there is that there are some specific things which you should not be doing. Like one, I'll give you an example. They say that Nishidha, one of the Nishidha karma is that you should never ever kill a cow or a sannyasi or a brahmana. These are very strong Nishidha. If you do that, there's a lot of atonement to undergo. Because in India, especially at that time, cow is considered very sacred, So even now, of course, cow is a very sacred thing. And general Indian laws, if you see, you cannot kill cows. But of course, it does happen every now and then. So here, what is the point, though, is that Nishidha karma puts you in a great bondage, because the cosmic print, the way the rishis found out that these leave a strong cosmic imprint, not just in your mind, that you will be stuck like that. So what is the way to go? What is the way that you should then live? The main, and if you do that, this is the fifth one. If you do that fourth, which is the Nishidha karma, then you have to do the Prayaschita karma. You have to focus your life on Prayaschita, means atonement, repentance. In order to repent, atone for what you did wrong, you need to undergo and do a lot of these things. Okay, so these are the ways that karma was done. So now what is the Vedas is trying is that a person who is desire driven, who is acting based on his impulses and desires and all that, the Vedic lifestyle is given. You can live 100 years. You don't have to renounce. You don't have to let go. You don't have to become a sannyasi, but see, a lot of times, actually, just a little sidetrack, I might have told this before, but many times, people have this understanding that the path of sannyasa is where something has not worked well in your life, then you take sannyasa. That is not the Vedic idea. Like if sometimes people say, like, my relationship is not going well, and so I will become a sannyasi like you, Swamiji. They will come and tell me. So that is not the real idea of how sannyasa is taken. Sannyasa is taken based on knowledge. Once you really realize that reality, then you realize that there is no actions I have to pursue in the world. So this is also Shankaracharya says in that Bhashya, that just because somebody's wife has abandoned him or died, or his son has died, it's not that's what he's taking sannyas for. So the tyaga, that what we were taught in that earlier mantra, that one is not ready for that first. Then what are we renouncing? Is we are renouncing the fruits of our actions, phalatyaga. So action I do, but the result of that action I'm not desiring for that. Whatever comes, I'm willing to accept that. A greater way for this is like when you work in some ashram or some seva you do, right? So that is that idea there. Like you are not expecting that results for yourself. So this is that where in how the karma is people are taught to do karma. What are they doing in that karma is they are actually saying that I am going to act, but I'll act according to that how the Vedic rituals, Vedas had told me before. So in a more modern kind of a spiritual path, it is how the gurus advise you, or your teachers, spiritual teachers advise you what is a good lifestyle. So they will tell you this is a good lifestyle, this is a better lifestyle. So you try to follow that kind of a lifestyle. Then what happens? Your own personal desires you're not hankering for. You are not hankering after that what you think you want to do out of your impulses or your innate kind of a desire. So you realize what is a better path, what is a good path, and that based on that desire, that advice and that knowledge and the wisdom given, that is the thing. And generally, ideally, that teacher or guru who is advising you should be also learned in scriptures, Shotriya. So when some guru who has studied the shastras, can give you that direction, then those desires, those actions which you do will not create an imprint, will not bind you. So then your actions will not cause you a bondage. So this is the main thing here. So the point which was originally brought out by Shankaracharya is there are two specific paths. One is a path of knowledge, other is a path of action. So ideal path for everyone who is ready and who wants to completely go to that path of complete realization is the path of knowledge, wisdom. So, but how do you get to wisdom? You get to that wisdom. What is the wisdom? That there is this one reality and nothing in the world has anything deeper reality worth pursuing. So I renounce everything. Mentally, I should renounce all desires for the world. But if I'm not able to completely do that, then what happens? Then I have to act. But act in a way as it is prescribed for us. So now what is the actions which we have to do? We have to do according to Vedas 2 actions, which is Nitya Naimittika. Those daily actions which we do. And that occasional actions. So from a Vedic standpoint, the daily actions included like Agnihotra. See, those days, they didn't have all these different gods. Later on, all this, today in India, we worship so many gods, right? At that time, there was no gods. They just had all these Vedic Shastras, these Agnihotras and all that. So they would do the Agnihotras, meaning that worship of that fire thing, morning, evening and all that. But what it also implies, Nitya Naimittika, is our daily responsibilities. We undertake them, whatever we need to do for a practical purpose, like take care of need for food or whatever work we need to do for our maintenance, our family's maintenance. That is the Nitya Karma. If you look at it from a more modern perspective, these are the Nitya Karmas we are doing. Naimittika Karmas, occasional duties, some responsibilities, obligations, things which we have. We need to fulfill that as well. But in all this, what is happening, it is not necessarily coming from a part of my personal desires. So our time then we are giving for as much as possible for seeking knowledge, for our practices, and for whatever things that deepens our wisdom. So we are placing our attention more on that. Our energies and our attention is not dispersed in these other things otherwise. Okay. So this much I will leave it for today. So if there is any questions, I can take up for a few minutes now. And as always, look, these mantras, I'm just giving here the broad definition of the mantras. Those who are interested, please look at the bhashyas, go through the bhashyas. And if you are free, you can join the Friday class also, where we do the bhashya. And so because the lot of this Isha Upanishad, they say it's one of the first Upanishads many people study, right? But at the same time, it requires a lot of background. So those who are coming for the first Upanishad, it does require a little bit more background to understand. Okay. So yeah, anybody, you feel free, any general questions you can ask, you can feel free to ask. Yes, the Father question, please. Yes.
Swamiji, on our first class, you spoke of these 3 different levels of the understanding of God, and you reiterated this today. So I just wanted to run this by you and ask if you can clarify something. So the first level would be seeing God in everything. The next level would be seeing everything as God. And the third level would be really there is only God.
Yes.
And today, sorry.
There is only God and there is no world.
Right. So this was my question. So my understanding is that third level, is that ajata?
Yeah, correct. You can say that's ajata, yes. We can call it also that pure vision of vivarta. Vivarta is that the Advaitic version. There are many things, right? Some people, like if you go to like some of this ISKCON, they say everything is God's Leela, they say. It's a divine play. They say it's a, so there what is happening? There is God playing in this world. That is the first one. So what is this vivarta is that there is absolutely nothing that is ever kind of created as such. It is like it is not even like a dream. Like we can for lack of an analogy, we can say it's a dream. But the better example is like the mirage, So when you're walking in a desert and you see this beautiful like a pond and all that, so you think that there is water and you rush towards that, but in reality there is nothing there. So that is nothing in the sense it's not nothing. It is that also the example vivarta example generally is that snake and rope. So there is rope as a reality, but you are seeing snake where there is rope, because that vision is not clear. You're seeing snake, but is there snake? The snake was never there. What was really there? There was only the rope.
In this understanding, today you spoke of Shrishti Drishti and Drishti Shrishti. You categorize the first 2 levels here under Shrishti Drishti and the third one under Drishti Shrishti.
Correct.
So if I'm being too categorical here, please correct me, but is Drishti Shrishti like a lead into this Vivarta or Ajata, or is it synonymous?
Drishti Shrishti is still a little bit compromised version of Ajata.
Okay.
But it is very much closer to Ajata and Vivarta.
Okay.
But it's slightly compromised because that you have still the capacity to create the world in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because of, this is actually the Drishti Srishti is closer to what in Buddhism, there is a school called as Vijnanavada. Buddhism has 4 schools, and this third school of Buddhism before Shunyavada. So Shunyavada is very close to Ajatavada, but this what is called as Vijnanavada in Buddhism is very close to this thing called where we call it as Drishti Srishti, like the world is a projection of my mind, they say in Vijnanavada. Here we are saying not mind, the world is a projection of consciousness. So there is no world in reality, but that consciousness is projecting this world. It seems like the world has appeared, but there is really no world. It's just a projection. So, but that is still a compromise. That is still a one step lower than their version of Shunyavada also. In our from Vedantic thing, what you mentioned, Ajatavada, which comes in Mandukya Upanishad, for those who are not familiar, Mandukya Upanishad is called Ajatavada. Ajatavada means like Ajata, there was nothing ever was created. Nothing ever was born. Ajata. Jata is that nothing was ever born, nothing was ever created. So that is where, that highest thing, when we say Ishavasyam, we are saying that the self alone there is really nothing. So for that we have to take that second part, Jagatyam Jagat. In this Jagat, there is really nothing but that thing, reality. But this is a step-by-step purification of our understanding, and based on our understanding, our perception will change. So like as our understanding deepens, our perception of the world also starts to change. So a devotee who comes, he's seeing God in everything. Then what happens? It helps him to alleviate sorrows. It helps him to alleviate fear. Even in enemies, the raga dvesha is going, he starts feeling love towards enemies and everything because he's seeing God. So that is the first purification. The second purification is he starts realizing that but there is still that little fear. In the first version, there is still fear. What is that fear? Is that there's a constant battle. I'm seeing God today. Tomorrow I see the same, my friend, my enemies. I'm attached and I'm running away. So this battle is always happening. Like it is like we give that example. There is a snake, and then you close that snake with a white cloth. So what happens? That white cloth, that for a while you think, oh, that snake is not there. There's just a cloth. But afterwards, what happens? The snake will come out of that white cloth again. Right? So this is the first one. This is where, as a devotee, that struggle is always there. But as the understanding gets deeper, we see that everything is this clay, or clay appearing as pots and ceramics, or this gold appearing as ornaments, but there's really gold. So this is the second one, but you were talking of the third one. So in that third one, the example we take is that snake and rope, or the mirage. Okay. Thank you. Namaste.